Hey guys, we're back. This time we're taking a look at another fan-made faction for Star Trek Ascendancy. This time around we have the Terran Empire. Now, I love the way this whole thing came together. It was actually one of the first ones I printed out, but I didn't get models for it until recently, so I kind of held off making a video on this one. And the faction was actually cooked up by NukeUtopia from BGG. And then a bunch of people gave their opinions and stuff, kind of molded it all together into what it is today. And the models that I have were actually made by BobPony on BGG. And the space stations were something that Frank Strauss had came up with. And then Bob kind of remodeled and built from the ground up. And just used that for inspiration. So everybody's got credit due where it comes. The only thing I've changed in the faction, and it was something that we talked about in the forums, and I did a very poor job of doing it on this because I didn't want to reprint the whole thing, was that I changed the Earth to Terra, and I just printed a sticker out and stuck it on there because I didn't want to reprint the whole tile because I'm lazy and I'm running out of ink. So anyway, we'll get right in and take a look. So the first thing we have here is our xenophobic trait. And this says that the Terran Empire may never attempt hegemony on rival sectors or civilizations. You can still do it on the random warp-capable civilizations that you come across through exploration, just not on one that's controlled by a rival faction. On the other side here we have despotism. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. And when you destroy a resource node you don't control, you take 2 of that resource that it could produce. These two combined, pretty much your only way to take over systems controlled by your rivals is to attack them, and anything you wipe out in the process of attacking them helps you out. So it's a very interesting thematic aspect of the faction already from the get-go. And then to complement that, we also have the starting advancement here, which is exographic targeting sensors. And it's whenever you score a successful planetary invasion on a rival systems, you may instead choose to ignore the number of hits you rolled. And this one kind of goes against those in some way. It's still encouraging you to attack, but if you completely wipe out a system and you don't want to wipe them out, say you actually wanted the colony, you could reduce some of your hits and still succeed in the planetary invasion but not wipe out the planet. Comes in handy if it's a planet that you plan on keeping and you want some of those nodes so you can start generating resources off of them. Your ability here is great on a planet that you don't care about, that's maybe out of your boundaries, you don't want to defend it. You just go in, you wipe it out, you gain a massive amount of resources and you move on. If it's something you want to keep and add to your empire, then wiping it out might not be the best option. Sure, you might get a bonus up front, but it's going to cost you more than that to rebuild those nodes on the planet, so maybe you want to just save them and generate normal resources off of them from the get-go. So there's a little bit of strategy there you got to keep in mind. Now, I did accidentally print, I'm not sure if they were this way intentionally or I did it wrong when I printed them the first time, but I printed the advancement cards full size, or the same size as the trade agreements instead of the little mini cards. I might reprint them at some point, scale them down just so they match the other factions, but it's no big deal. But thought I should point that out in case somebody noticed it. And also, I have the extra 15 ships and the extra 5 nodes in there from a escalation pack. Because since we play with the escalation packs, I get all the custom factions made with the escalation packs added in just in case, so we have them available. So take a look at our fleets here. Our first fleet is a 3-ship fleet called the Imperial Flagship. And ships in that fleet always score a hit on a 4+ regardless of your opponent's shields. That's a super powerful ability. Early on, it gives you basically giving you a free weapons upgrade. Later on in the game, it's negating your enemy's shield upgrades. You do kind of lose a little bit depending on what your weapons are at. And it's a trade-off there. But being able to negate enemy shields, even if it is only a 3-ship fleet, is a very interesting and powerful ability. Fleet number 2 is our Assault Group. That's a 6-ship fleet, and they get to re-roll 1s on planetary invasions. I think a couple other races have very similar fleet. Being that it plays into our strengths here, that we're going to be doing a lot of planetary invasions, it's nice to have a fleet specifically designed for it. Fleet number 3 is one of the most interesting and unique fleets I've seen in any of the custom factions. It is the Cobras Analysis Group, and it's a 4-ship fleet. And when it occupies a rival system that has a research node in it, you can exhaust a command to take a research, and that can be immediately placed on one of your active projects that you're working on. So, really interesting thing. It can only be done once a turn, of course, but gives you a faster way to unlock some of your advancements, and just a really interesting idea all around. On the flip side of all of these, we have a generic 9-ship fleet. There has been discussion on whether to change the generic fleets from the 9-ship, basically battle fleet, into something more along the lines of what the Federation has in that 6-ship fleets, and just reverse their bonuses. Not sure if that's the community's majority idea or not. We've toyed around with it a couple times. It's easy enough for me to print out new sheets just to stick in there if people decide to change it. So I think it's fine the way they are, though. The large combat fleets really kind of seem fitting for the Terran Empire. On to our advancements. So the Terran Empire has a lot of really cool and interesting advancements. And of course it's in Latin. I'm never going to try to pronounce it, but during your turn you can pay culture to initiate a planetary invasion instead of exhausting a command. Sure, it costs you culture to do so, but if you're planning on wiping out the planet, our racial bonus here is going to get you back that. If there's a culture node on there, you're already going to get that back, and another one if you wipe out their culture node on the planet. So there's kind of a trade-off there. Hate spending culture on things, but it's fitting for the faction, and you have ways to recoup them. Unconditional victory is another one. You can pay culture to make it so your rivals can't retreat from space battles from you. Kind of useless against the Klingons, but for everybody else it has its uses. Cochrane Institute is a complete copy of the one from the Federation. Always nice to have that extra impulse speed. Terran Imperial Command is another one that's copied direct from the Federation. Increases your hegemony resistance. Always nice to have when people see you as a military race. They're going to be trying to steal your places away from you. Imperial Strategic Reconnaissance is a great one. It allows you to, when you launch projects, you can draw from your opponent's deck instead of yourself. And you only get one, but there's some cool ones out there that you might be able to steal from your rivals and start researching. The Tantalus Field's a cool one that allows you to basically defend yourself when someone's trying to use hegemony to take over one of your systems. It allows your nodes on the system to fight back. Tri-Cobalt Warheads are a really cool one. Allows you to drop out of warp and engage combat without having to spend an extra command. Kind of expensive to research, but worth it in the end. Scientific Infiltration is a great one. It allows you, when you steal a research node from a opposing player, it allows you to pick which one of their projects that you get to steal for taking that. Goes along with covert analysis. When you take control of a rival's research nodes and you get a project from them, you get to keep all of the research that they've already put into it, which is really nice. Then there's Synaptic Agonizer device. This one's kind of hit or miss. You spend 2 commands to basically steal a command from a rival. It has its uses in certain situations, but the 2-for-1 trade-off is kind of steep. There's a couple others in here that are kind of situational, but overall you're looking to boost up your ship's abilities and just go all out planetary invasion versus people. Being able to steal other people's research allows you to get some cool projects that you can use, especially when you get the thing that lets you choose which one you take. And that lets you pick and choose and customize, get things that are going to boost up your ship's combat abilities more, or your defense abilities, so that you can get out there and do what you do better. Terran Empire is pretty much all about conquest, taking over planets and adding them to your empire, expanding the empire as much as you can, and then making your opponent's advancements work against them by stealing them and adding them to your own abilities. Overall, though, it's a really fun faction to play. The models turned out great. They look awesome on the table alongside the other stuff. And it's just a lot of fun to see both sides of the Federation, the Mirror Universe and the regular one, going at it as well. We've had a couple really cool games with, I think we used 6 players in the last one, and every single one of them used a custom faction, so it turned out really cool. Love these fan-made factions, and they're always a blast to bring to the table. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for our look at the Terran Empire fan expansion for Star Trek Ascendancy. Hope I gave you some ideas on how to play them or how to play against them, or if it's something you're interested in printing out for yourself. Thanks to NukeUtopia for coming up with the faction to begin with, and BobPony there for making the models. And hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.